Mom, why are you so insistent on knowing every detail about Mira? Can't you trust my choice? Smith's voice echoed with frustration and pleading as he faced his mother in their grand living room, the afternoon sun casting long shadows across the abundant space. The Amelia residence stood in the heart of a bustling city, nestled among gardens that whispered tales of bygone eras. It was a mansion that echoed with the remnants of a rich history, every corner a testament to the family's legacy. Within these walls, Smith and Mrs. Amelia shared a life marked by a blend of tradition and modernity, a life that was as much about the echoes of the past as it was about the promises of the future. Their days would begin with the melodic tunes of classical music, a tradition Mrs. Amelia insisted upon. It filled the house as the morning sun peeked through the intricate jailwork of the windows, casting dappled shadows on the rich tapestries and polished marble floors. Despite his initial resistance, Smith had grown to find a soothing rhythm in these morning rituals, often humming along as he prepared for his day. Breakfast was a time of connection. They'd exchange stories and plans for the day at the long mahogany dining table. Mrs. Amelia, always keen on keeping traditions alive, ensured their meals blended familial recipes and contemporary dishes. With his adventurous palate, Smith would often surprise his mother with his culinary experiments, adding a modern twist to traditional flavors. The afternoons were a time of solitude and personal pursuits. Mrs. Amelia would retire to her study, a room lined with books that spanned genres and eras, her sanctuary where she penned her thoughts and indulged in her love for literature. On the other hand, Smith would often be found in the sprawling gardens, earphones in place, lost in his world of music and technology, occasionally lifting weights under the shade of an old banyan tree. Evenings, he brought them back together. They shared a fondness for walks in the garden, where peacocks roamed and flowers bloomed in a riot of colors. These walks were times for deeper conversations, where Smith would open up about his dreams and dilemmas, and Mrs. Amelia would share her insights, weaving in anecdotes from her own life. During these twilight strolls, Arav felt the gap of generations bridge as he soaked in his mother's wisdom. Dinner was an elaborate affair, often accompanied by lively discussions. Mrs. Amelia, with her interest in world affairs, would initiate debates on a range of topics, from politics to philosophy. Smith, with his modern education and exposure, brought in fresh perspectives. These discussions were not just an exchange of thoughts, but lessons in respecting and understanding different viewpoints. In quieter moments, Smith would play the piano, the notes floating through the house, while Mrs. Amelia, seated in her favorite armchair, would listen with closed eyes, a gentle smile on her lips. Simple yet profound moments were the threads that wove their lives together in the tapestry of familial love. Their life together, though marked by differences in age and outlook, was a beautiful blend of respect, understanding, and love. It was a life where the past and the present coexisted harmoniously, each learning from and enriching the other. In the grand scheme of things, their life was a testament to the timeless bond between a mother and her son, a bond that transcended the mundane and touched the realms of the extraordinary. In the vibrant tapestry of Smith's life, the chapter where he met Mira was colored with serendipity and an unexpected romance that blossomed in the least likely places. Their first encounter was at a local charity event in the city. Despite his affluent background, Smith was deeply committed to giving back to the community, a value instilled in him by his mother, Mrs. Amelia. The event was a bustling affair, with volunteers and attendees mingling in a hall adorned with colorful banners and lively music. Mira was there as a volunteer, her passion for social work driving her to contribute her time and energy. She was organizing a group of children for a performance when Smith first saw her. She moved with a grace and confidence that caught his attention, her laughter ringing clear and accurate above the crowd's din. Drawn by her vivacity, Smith volunteered to help with the event. Their initial interactions were brief, exchanges filled with polite smiles and courteous nods. However, as the day progressed, they worked side by side, their conversations evolving from formalities to shared interests and laughs. As the event wound down, Smith found himself reluctant to part ways. On a whim, he invited Mira for coffee, a proposal she accepted with a smile that lit up her eyes. That coffee date began many more meetings, each a step further into affection and connection. They discovered shared interests in literature and music, spending hours discussing their favorite books and songs. Walks in the park became a routine, where conversations flowed freely, ranging from lighthearted banter to deep philosophical discussions. Smith was captivated by Mira's perspective on life, grounded nature, and ability to find joy in the simplest things. Mira, on her part, was drawn to Smith's genuineness and humility. Despite his affluent background, he carried no air of arrogance. He listened intently, his responses thoughtful, revealing a depth beyond his years. She admired his dedication to his family, passion for his pursuits, and commitment to making a difference in the world. Their love story was not one of grand gestures or dramatic confessions. It was a love that grew quietly but steadily, a bond forged through shared moments and mutual respect. He opened up to Mira, sharing parts of his life he had never shared with anyone else. Mira, in turn, lets Smith into her world, introducing him to her family, her dreams, and her aspirations. As months turned into a year, their relationship blossomed. They became an integral part of each other's lives, their love a steady flame that burned with a quiet intensity. Smith knew he had found someone special in Mira, who loved him for who he was, not for the wealth or status he represented. Mrs. Amelia was a woman of deep intuition and foresight. Despite her son's assurances of Mira's genuine love, a nagging doubt lingered in her heart, a concern born not out of disdain, but from a protective maternal instinct. She had seen the world and its many facades and feared that her son's affluence might attract insincerity. Determined to ensure her son's happiness and the authenticity of his future partner's intentions, she devised a plan. She decided to test Mira, to see beneath the surface of the young woman who had captured her son's heart. Her method was unconventional, yet she believed it was necessary. She disguised herself as a poor, older woman, a character far removed from her true identity. She transformed herself on a chosen day for this purpose, shedding her usual elegant attire and demeanor. Her hair was concealed under a dull scarf, her rich clothes replaced by ones tattered and worn, and her walk slowed to a shuffle, reflecting the frailty of age. She perfected her disguise with remarkable attention to detail, ensuring that no trace of Mrs. Amelia, the affluent and dignified matriarch, could be seen in this humble avatar. With a heart filled with mixed emotions, she approached Mira's residence. Her plan was simple yet effective. She would beg for help, a test to gauge Mira's kindness and empathy towards someone she perceived as insignificant. Standing at Mira's doorstep, her heart thudded with apprehension and hope. She knocked gently, her voice quivering as she played her part, asking for food or any small assistance. To Mrs. Amelia's surprise and, more significantly, relief, Mira's response was not what she had braced herself for. Mira, unaware of the woman's true identity before her, responded with a kindness that was as natural as it was sincere. Her face showed genuine concern, and her words were gentle and compassionate. She invited the disguised Mrs. Amelia inside, offering her food and a comforting resting space. Her actions showed no irritation or condescension, only a pure and selfless desire to help someone in need. Sitting in Mira's modest living room, Amelia felt emotions wash over her. Mira's kindness touched her, her heart swelling with relief and admiration. The test she had thought necessary now seemed an underestimation of Mira's character. As she left Mira's home, Amelia knew her son's choice reflected his good judgment. She had witnessed a nobility in Mira that went beyond social status or material wealth, realizing that her son had found someone who embodied genuine kindness and empathy filled her with a profound sense of peace and happiness. In that moment, Amelia's respect for Mira grew exponentially, not just as the woman her son loved, but as an individual of commendable character. The disguise, meant to unveil a hidden truth, had revealed a beautiful reality. Mira's inherent nobility, Amelia knew, would only enrich her son's life.